we are.
Hi there, everyone. My name is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks.
And hello, I'm James Maynard, otherwise known as Sweet Baby James.
So, this is what I'm going to talk about tonight. Often people think of hopeless and realistic as opposite, or at least
Oh,
as
you said
unrelated.
hopeless, do you mean hopeful?
I did mean hopeful.
Thank you.
I meant as okay. Let's start again. Take two. Lots of people think of hopeful and realistic as opposite, or at least unrelated, but the opposite is actually the case. So tonight I'm going to be talking about hopeful and realistic, the surprising connection, and I'm going to talk about how hopeful and realistic are related and how that can help you change your life. But first, here is Sweet Baby James, who's going to be talking about our show and what happened to my Facebook page. Here it is.
Well, here we are at Granny Rocks. And this is something that we experience every Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, where Granny shares with us her wit, her wisdom, and her very uncommon sense. So stay tuned.
And we already have 2 comments, so we know we are broadcasting. 3 comments. Todd said, "Hi, Granny and Sweet Baby James."
Hi, Todd.
Catalina says hello, and he sent a smiley face. And Catalina said hello, and she sent a heart and a sun and an evergreen tree. And Elizabeth said hello and sent a smile. And that is so nice that you did that, because probably the rest of the world is watching Joe Biden. So, but it's nice to know that we are not alone. Anyway.
And Tracy says hello. Hello, Tracy.
Oh, Tracy.
And she sends a heart of love.
Hi, hi. This, I think, is an important topic. So, what is hope? You know, just like, I didn't go to the dictionary, but when I ask myself what hope is, I think, well, hope is the belief that things are somehow going to get better. You know, and hope gives us a positive feeling. It gives us a reason to go on, to fight on with life. When we're hopeless, we tend to feel down. We get negative. We don't have any incentive to fight for a better life or for a better us. So I want to get into this topic deeply tonight. And Amy said hi, both of you, and hi.
Hi, Amy.
And hi, one of you. And she sent us some hearts too.
2 hearts of love.
Oh, Muhammad,
Oh.
I miss you. Oh,
Oh.
well, you don't have to miss me because I'm right here. They're very nice. Thank you, Muhammad.
Thank you.
So let's take a look at what makes us hopeless. Well, one thing is we can be conditioned to being hopeless by the people around us. Like, oh, everybody in my family is sort of hopeless and cynical, and I don't want to stand out. You know what I mean? I don't want to look like a fool, so I get into the hopeless mode in order to fit in. But a lot of what makes us hopeless is disappointing experiences. And I want to talk about that and how being realistic can really help us to not have those. For example, hope can cause disappointment, but that is hope separated from reality. Let's say my mother is really ill, and I'm hoping that she will fully recover, that her life will be saved. But it's just, it's just not going to happen, right? So she dies, and I go into despair. I have been hoping and hoping, maybe I've even prayed. So how do I feel? I feel betrayed, outraged, crushed, hopeless, like, oh, I had been hoping for this, or I had been praying for this, and it didn't happen, and what a terrible thing that is, right? But supposing instead of hoping that my mother would be saved, I hope that I can see my mother before she dies. Well, that can motivate me to make an effort to be there, physically if possible. And if I can't be there physically, I'll try to be there telepathically, that is in my mind and in my heart. And then that hope is fulfilled. Or supposing I hope that she can feel loved before she dies. So I can do things to help her feel loved. I can send her cards. I can go visit her in the hospital or wherever she is in hospice. Or I can let other people know about her condition, and I can say, hey, come to the hospital. and give your love to my mother before she dies. So I can do something to get her to have the experience that I'm hoping she will have, which is that she will feel love before she dies, right? Now, let's say I'm hoping that this is still on the subject of, my mother's going to die. That's reality, but what can I hope for? Let's say I can be hopeful that I can find the strength to survive her death, the blow of that. I can work on preparing myself for her death. I can prepare myself emotionally. I can prepare myself financially. I can do a lot of ways I can prepare myself for her death. And that will help to ensure that, in fact, I do survive her death. So you see, hoping for something that is possible enables me to do and to take the steps that will help me to realize that hope. Adamina says, hi. Hello, Adamina. And good morning from Edom or Emad. Oh, he gave me, his name is in Arabic. He told me what his name was. It was either Emad or Edom. I think it's Emad. So I have to apologize again. But anyway, thank you for coming.
Can I add another example?
Yes, you could.
Oh, okay. Well, when I was going to graduate high school and I'd been hoping to go to college, hoping to go to a good college, that hope spurred me on to work hard to make it happen. And then it did happen. I went to a good college. And this set me up for being able to have a decent career. So those hopes along the way
can lead to
fulfilled
something.
by I was realistic about taking the steps to fulfill that hope.
Right, but that was a realistic hope. It's Emad, or however you actually pronounce that. So I wasn't that far off. I've made some progress. Thank you. Richard said, hope definitely leads to, and you got cut off, Richard, but it leads to something. So now, hoping for what is possible can lead to the realization of those hopes. That's what we're taking a look at. And then I am strengthened in my belief and hope. I'm strengthened in my hopefulness. And the more I hope for what is possible, the more hopeful I become. Whereas if I keep hoping for the impossible, I'm constantly disappointed and I become more and more bitter. So you see what I'm saying? Now here's another example that is very close to home. The U.S. President is offering his address to Congress tonight. Should I hope that everybody watches our show instead?
That's not realistic.
It's not realistic. Now, I'm going to come back to why I'm hoping for that, but it's probably not a good idea. But can I hope that the show will benefit the people who come? I can hope for that. Richard said, hope equals action. Right on, Richard.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on here. Has some dog got locked out or locked in or something, James? I hear some
She's
dog.
scratching on the door yet again.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, and I can also hope that the people who come later are going to be benefited by it. So those are things that I can hope for, and I'm not setting myself up for the fall, right? Now, here are some hopes that are just ego-based. It's all about me, right? I want everyone to watch our show so that I can feel important. Now, that's a hope based on my ego. That's not the kind of hope that I should be hoping for. Instead, I should be hoping that everybody makes the choice that serves them the best. You can watch Joe Biden later. You can watch us later. You can take a nap. You can do anything. So, here's another example. I am making a new album of music. This is true. I am. I'm just finished recording a whole album of improvisational piano music, and I'm going to be releasing it in a while. It takes a while. There's a lot of stuff to do. But I could, an ego hope, I could be hoping that I suddenly become a star as an improvisational pianist at the age of 76. Well, maybe a better hope might be...
I used to have a hope like that about becoming a star in my mid-70s as
That's
a jazz singer.
That's right.
And I realized the folly of that one.
Right, and it was painful, right? So a better hope might be that I am hoping that my music reaches the souls of those who need or enjoy it. Now, let me show you some other hopes that are totally self centered. And I'm going to be speaking for us, ourselves. We have purchased some dog collars, barking collars, because our dogs tend to bark and there's a lot to bark at. And we were hoping that the barking would stop. But we don't want to use any mean collars that zap the dogs, or we don't want to de-bark them or anything. That's
Electric
horrible.
shock, none of that.
That's not good for the dogs,
Just
right?
makes a sound and distracts them.
Right.
Or it might send a vibration to the collar.
And what's interesting is they have improved. See, if I hope for an improvement in their barking, that hope can be realized.
And you can feel satisfied.
That's right. But, barking is normal for dogs. There's other dogs right outside our fence. What do we want to make the dogs neurotic, that they have to suppress themselves, that they can't bark? You know what I mean? It's
You got to protect the turf, right?
That's right. It's natural. They're dogs after all. So we have to change our hope. We have to change our hope to that the dogs will improve in their barking. Here's another one that many of you will, in fact, I think, relate to. I met a guy, and my lonely days are over. Or I met a girl, and my lonely days are over. Well, that means that this guy or this woman are never going to be distant, are never going to go AWOL, are never going to have their own emotional problems, are never going to get sick and go into the hospital sick. No. Oh, no. Is that a realistic hope? And then we're so betrayed. It's like, oh, God, I'm so disappointed. He was so terrible. It's like, See, I didn't have the right hope to start with, did I?
So what would be the right hope in that situation?
Well, would be that I met a guy, and I hope that we can build a mutually supportive and loving relationship with all the ups and downs that people bring.
Awesome.
How's that?
That's great.
Okay, now I'm turning this over to you to think, but I will continue talking naturally. What have you hoped for that was unrealistic? I'll give you a moment to think about that. What have you hoped for that was unrealistic, either as a child or as an adult? What happened when that hope was disappointed? Did you learn to hope realistically, or did you continue to hope for the impossible? And if you continued to hope for the impossible, did you develop a grudge against life because it wasn't working? Or did you give up on hope altogether? I hope you're thinking about this. What hope might have been more productive to start with?
I have mine.
Yes?
Well, ever since the 60s with the song The Dawning of the Age of Aquarius, I was hopeful that not too long after that, we would be having a society of harmony and love and understanding.
Oh, yes, a different world, yes.
Yeah, but really a more realistic hope would have been simply that we're evolving in consciousness. And so little by little by little, we're becoming more civilized in our behavior toward one another.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah, or that we'll recognize when we fall and when we're acting like ego-based nincompoops. So now, by the way, did you hear that? The dogs did a little roar, and their little collars went off, and they got quiet. But there was no dog sitting right outside the fence.
That's right.
That they would have, barked at.
This was an easy situation.
Now, what are you hoping for now in your life? Give it a moment to think about it. You can share with us if you like. And here's the big question. Is it realistic, this hope? And if not, what could you hope for instead? I gave you that example in the beginning, even about my mother dying. or your mother dying, or somebody close to you dying, that there are things to hope for even if that person will not live. There are things to hope for that we can work towards. Now, I hope you're thinking, in a world where there is so much noise about following your dreams or believing in yourself, sometimes it's really a good idea.
And you create your own reality.
Or you create your own reality. Okay.
As if society didn't exist around you.
Right. So sometimes it's a good idea to follow your dream, especially if you're willing to let it end up being the whatever it is. And sometimes you should believe in yourself, and sometimes you should recognize that you're, lousy at what you think you're doing. But it may be hard for you to feel that it is enough to hope for what is realistic. By the way, Amy says, I hoped that some of the difficulties I have had would just go away. The better hope would be to develop my strength instead. Bravo, Amy.
Yes,
that is
bravo.
Great. Elizabeth, for my wife and I to heal from chronic illness looks possible for me, though not sure for my wife. So what could be a better hope for you around her, Elizabeth? That's a very, very good and poignant and meaningful example. So as I said, in this world where there's so much hype about following your dream or believing or whatever it is enough to hope for what is realistic. Now, here I'm going to confuse you. It's tough sometimes to know the difference between hope and delusion. Delusion is when you're hoping for something that is impossible, like the easy fix, or somehow you're going to get up and start walking when you've been paralyzed for 70 years and your spine is broken, but you never know. There can be a new technology that can come out that could help you. You never know. Your wife might in fact get better. We can't know in advance what is going to happen. So we don't want to limit ourselves to what we think in our minds is realistic. I would never have dreamed in my whole life when I was growing up that I would have the life that I have today, that I would be the person I am. I didn't even believe in spirituality, and here I've turned into a spiritual teacher and an intuitive and all that. Elizabeth, she's coming up with a different hope, I think, for her to find value in herself and that we have a happy, healthy relationship. Beautiful, Elizabeth.
Well done.
You and Amy have both come up with some great, different hopes. And let's always leave open the possibility of a miracle. But let's not insist on it, shall we? Let's just be open to it. Let's have faith. Hope for something that is attainable. But keep your heart and mind open to what could be. And always be prepared for the unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to remind you that we are here at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. That's Oregon, California. Some people don't know what Pacific time is. Every Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, live, and you can join us and you can chat with us, and we love getting your comments live. You can always listen to the show later, put in your comments, and I will always respond. Please like the show. Please love the show. And if you believe it has value, I can always hope that you will share it with others. Richard said, to take responsibility for creating the kind of life I want. That's your hope.
Bravo.
Yes, Richard. Hoping that you will be able, how about this? Hoping that you will be able to take responsibility for creating the life I want, and that you will continue to work towards that, rather than being disappointed if you say, oh my God, I didn't do that today, or I didn't do that this month, or I haven't achieved that yet. What is absolutely doable is that you can take steps towards taking responsibility for creating the kind of life you want. And so can we. Tomorrow night, which is Thursday, I play the piano. Dreams of Peace, improvisational piano music. It's at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which is like California or Oregon. And again, I play the piano live, and I hope that those of you who feel moved by that music will come and listen. Either in person, live, when we're live streaming, or later. And I hope that it will reach the souls and the spirits of all of those who need it and who are open to it. Is there something you would like to share before we go? I just want to thank our viewers for the wonderful comments that they shared tonight.
Oh, I just want to share that much of my life I have lived in a delusion of trying to escape the traumas of my childhood, and so trying to create an alternate belief system and reality around life. And it turns out, in retrospect, a lot of that was delusional. You know, like being a New Age pioneer in higher consciousness, or helping to create a utopian society.
Or that you were going to manifest money just like that.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I've come to realize that I need to be more realistic, and I am more realistic. And as a result, I feel more solid, more feet on the ground. I can have my hopes that are realistic and grounded.
And you are actually more hopeful.
And I'm more hopeful
because
because
being
I have a solid basis.
Being delusional did not leave you hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
It left you anxious.
Yes, that's true. My anxiety level was quite high.
And negative.
Oh, yeah.
I hope that you enjoyed this program. We love you. Come again. Peace.
Yes. Goodbye for now. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you again.
Bye-bye.